Hey viewers, real quick, click the top link in the video description to join my mailing list. I'll have merch and a book coming out soon, so join the mailing list and I can send you updates on those things. Thank you. There's not a single discovery in the history of philosophy. I guess we can put it that way. I mean, sorry.
I don't know. I would one refute that. Philosophy is responsible for discovering awareness and consciousness, I would say. But also, before,
What does that mean?
um,
I didn't rationalize my thoughts and my consciousness. I cannot help but experience them.
sorry, say that again. You cannot help but experience your,
My thoughts and my what was the other thing you said? My consciousness or whatever. That's
yeah.
not. I didn't philosophically arrive at that. It's just literally what
Wasn't it
it's like to
Descartes who,
exist.
like, I think, therefore I am? You can
Sure.
philosophically arrive at that. I don't know what you're referring to. Sorry.
Yeah, but
I just,
it's just an argument that doesn't prove anything. Like I don't have to prove to anybody that I am conscious and experiencing things. I mean, that's just like a
but
factual statement.
But what? No, no, you can't. You can't just say a factual statement. You can prove it, and it's because of that
Not no,
argument.
not
You
to
know that
you.
they, no, to yourself. You prove it to yourself. You're the only
No,
one that matters,
no,
right?
my consciousness is not rationalized because I can't choose to not believe in it and not experience it. Descartes was just saying that's the only thing like you can be certain of. And I guess maybe I'm sort
Mhm.
of agreeing, but just like in a slightly different way, I guess. But
Yeah, I guess because I don't. It's like you say no, but you're right. I don't hear the difference. In a sense,
well,
like
I'm saying it's not proven in any kind of way.
what is the
I
difference
don't, I
between
don't
proven
have
and
to prove.
certainty?
Sorry.
What's the difference to you between proven and certainty?
Well, to prove something just means like to show evidence in favor of it. To have certainty of something is to know that it cannot be false, I guess. And I can't prove to you that I'm having a conscious experience, but I have not the fact that I know it isn't because I rationalized it and because Descartes wrote that down. Before Descartes wrote that down, it wasn't like people were going around randomly becoming blind and not being able to have a lived experience or anything like that. So I just don't think that it actually proves anything.
I see.
Let me say it this way. It's not a discovery. Let me That's probably a better way of putting it. That's maybe the simplest way I can possibly put it.
Right. So do you mean so discovery as in like something that was outside of
Not
human
known and then
knowledge base,
known.
let's say.
Yeah, not known and then known.
Okay.
I don't think philosophy's ever accomplished that ever. Made something that wasn't known known.
I don't know. I'm actually just thinking. Made something that wasn't known.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's been the inspiration for a lot of groundbreaking discoveries, but unless you're doing some sort of, it doesn't necessarily have to be science. Like you can do an empirical investigation that isn't exactly science, but you're not doing philosophy anymore at that point.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like I'm just going back and I'm like who discovered things, who, and I'm thinking like Plato. Plato had the five Platonic solids, right? That would that be considered philosophy, or is that going down a different route now? That's like
Are those the shapes that are? I mean, that's mathematics.
I would say
Those are just the
it's
shapes
like
that cannot that have no concave surfaces, right?
um that have no. I think they are concave by nature, but it's stuff like they have one angle, same side length. I'm trying to think of the
Oh,
word.
okay. Yeah, I
Um,
mean that's not. I wouldn't call that a philosophical discovery. That's just something that was, I guess, mathematically or empirically verified.
but it was brought about because of philosophy. He was like literally trying to understand our
Sure.
existence and
Well, without
then
that extra element,
and then
nothing is
define about.
known.
Sorry,
Without that added element, nothing is known.
without the added element. Sorry, which element?
The Where we actually do this on paper or in the real world, without an empirical investigation, an idea is just literally nothing but an argument.
But, so you're saying that once there is an empirical investigation, it no longer constitutes or is defined as philosophy?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're doing science, you're not doing philosophy. To think about science is to do philosophy, I guess you could say, but not to. I wouldn't call the scientific method philosophy.
I would also say that just because you're empirically measuring something doesn't mean you're doing the scientific method.
Yeah, I know. I said that earlier. It doesn't have to be
Oh,
science, but if you're doing some
right.
sort of empirical investigation, but that's not philosophy either.
That's what I think. That's where I'm. Why? Because that's just a genuine question. Why would you say it's not philosophy?
It is philosophy anything other than the way we rationalize about ideas? Because I don't think it is.
So would you? So okay. So then by that definition, then wouldn't it be more important because science needs it as a basis? You need to like it before you can even test your hypothesis. You need to have your hypothesis, and that would come from rationalizing an idea. Like that would be the philosophy part of it.
Yeah, I agree, but
Okay.
if I'd rather live as an analogy. If I could choose between, I can only live in a world where there are architects and no construction workers, or a world where there are construction workers and no architects, I'm always going to pick the world where there are construction workers and no architects.
Um, I understand your your thinking, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily deemed correct.
I have no idea what that means.
Um, just because you're choosing construction workers who have the ability to perform a test doesn't mean they'll ever arrive at it. They just have the chance of it. Is that what you're saying? Whereas an architect could theoretically get the right answer but can't build it. I don't see where your analogy or your example um, has anything to do with the claim of discoveries. Like, does a discovery have to be
Well, that's
a
no,
physical?
because
Right. Okay.
no,
Go
because
ahead.
that's not what you said. You said isn't like philosophy like the inspiration that allows us to do good science. Earlier, I said that I think that that's true sometimes, right? But at the end of the day, philosophy doesn't discover anything or accomplish anything except for, you know, arguing about what words mean. It was like I said earlier, nothing's ever been discovered in philosophy, like ever.
Yeah, I need you to define discovered because I feel like that's not inherently true. And I gave you examples, and you had to redefine my examples and redefine your position. But look, we need concrete definitions if we're going to go through. Because
Something that wasn't known and then is known.
I gave you an example, the Platonic solids and how they exist
Yeah,
was
it's not
not known and
philosophy
now is
though.
known. Why not? Why was that not philosophy? That literally came about through
I
rational thought and
Sure.
analysis of it.
Yeah, but they didn't just think. You
What?
could not use pure reason, perhaps like
That is
if we
exactly what
think
Plato
that
did. That
if
is
we
actually
think
what he did.
okay, let me be I'm trying not to win an argument here. I just disagree. So let me see if we can like if I can make like a partial concession, if we can find some middle ground. Descartes and Leibniz and oh, who else? I can't remember the other big ones. They were these rationalists, right? So they thought through pure reason that was the way that humans gain knowledge. But Descartes openly admitted he didn't think a human being could possibly do this. Now, I don't think that that actually makes any sense because I think you need an empirical investigation. It doesn't have to be science, it can be something else because you can't answer a question without that. That's how I think. Now, here's where we can maybe have some middle ground. Is mathematics nothing other than pure reason? Well, I think it can be. I'd be open to a professional mathematician or somebody that does like philosophy of mathematics. I don't know if those people exist. I'm open to hearing that, but at the same time, math isn't real. I don't think so, at least. Now these platonic solids are real because you can like use geometry to like you can take concepts and principles in geometry and like know things about the natural world by applying them. But it's kind of a very like it's cool that we bring up Plato because it's very much a theory of forms kind of thing. Nothing is perfect geometrically. Everything's just a conglomeration of imperfect, close representations of these nebulous ideas that Plato had about things called the forms, right? So that's sort of I just said a lot, so you can just take that and run with it however you want.
I mean, I agree with a lot of it. I would say that it's funny that you actually brought up geometry because to me, geometry is the true base language of the universe. And when I say geometry, I'm just meaning the relationship of things in space and time and matter. And so it's a very, very loose definition, right?
It's
Like I
kind of
get it.
cringy to me
Yeah.
because
Which part?
because these philosophers and even the philosopher mathematicians like Ptolemy for for 2000 years geometry was literally sacred, but it caused us to think about the universe in very dumb ways because people like it's a huge reason why we thought that literally the whole universe revolves around Earth, right? So I think actually calculus and other types of advanced mathematics are so much more fundamental and important. Things like understanding what do you call that E? It's the natural. Oh, what the hell do you call that? It's literally represented by the letter E. I don't remember. Whatever. But those types of mathematics I think are actually far more. I don't remember if you said like fundamental or whatever, but natural logs. It's something about the rate of change. And I'm pretty sure it's abbreviated E. That's what I'm trying to I can't remember. But anyways, that's like sorry, you triggered me.
I don't know why I triggered you. I actually believe in what you just said. Sacred geometry, or sorry, geometry was sacred. And it was just the relationship between things, at least for a long point in time, between a perfect circle and nothing or the void. And basically, you can just like you using a circle and itself, you can come up with a pattern that pretty much encompasses a ton of everything in our physical world, from um, pi to Pythagoras, Pythagorean's theorem, and just all the different types of angles that you can get to the golden ratio. And so, yeah, I did find that interesting because when you analyze something and something else, you get geometry to me, really. But I know that it's spatial geometry is different.
Yeah, yeah, we had to invent non-Euclidean geometry in order to really make sense of things like space time. And I don't remember who the hell invented non-Euclidean geometry,
We,
or
we,
maybe
we,
nobody
we-
invented it, but it was like a
we're
bunch.
talking about geometry
Gauss? Oh, okay.
because
Apparently Gauss did.
we're trying to we're just going off of the claim here that science is humanity's best achievement, and I thought other ones
Yeah, we
could at least
deviated
be
a
up there.
long ways from that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Sorry, I totally interrupted you just there, and I didn't hear your whole. Sorry.
No, no, no worries. Yeah, you know what? It's hard. Mostly because I could see why you would champion science over philosophy or math or whatever, but I feel like like you even know there's a hint of the truth before science and the scientific method comes in. But I understand the difference, and I understand that if physical empirical proof is what constitutes an actual discovery, then I guess that makes sense. But like I'm even thinking like using math and I guess at that point it's sort of physics. I was going to say like didn't Einstein theoretically propose that black holes existed before there was empirical proof? And
Oh,
so
his
and that wasn't
mathematics
yeah, but
predicted
that
huge
wasn't a
numbers of things.
hypothesis, right? It was that he found it sort of by accident because of the equation. And so it's you can't attribute it to the
Well,
scientific method. He
he
wasn't
didn't
testing
even
for it.
Einstein didn't even realize the implications of his research. I think he actually sort of recoiled at the idea of a black hole.
Yeah, he said that they couldn't
Uh,
physically be possible in real life. Like he was like the
yeah,
math is there, but that makes no sense. There must be some other explanation for why I'm
yeah.
getting it.
And there are other things like that, like white holes and monopole magnets. The math says these things are
A
perfectly
monopole.
allowable. Yeah.
Oh, you gotta. That's has what? Sorry.
Monopole magnets, the mathematics says they can
Oh,
exist,
oh,
but
the
they just
math.
simply don't in our universe. They
Yeah,
just don't seem to actually be possible. But there's nothing mathematically wrong with them. It's also what's also very funny is uh literally absolutely nothing in physics says that time has to tick the way it does. It's just that it does. And we call this thing entropy. It's just an observed brute fact. It's a law of the universe. But there's absolutely nothing that says that it must be like that.
isn't? Don't we already know that time isn't? Um, it's not. I don't know what the best word for this. I don't want to say fixed to that constant because the further distance you get away, space this like expansion of space increases quicker. Like it could technically be faster than the speed of light. Although that's not
What?
a great way to say it. Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm trying to think of the way to that it. The expansion rate of space increases as the distance between spatial objects and not
Yeah, there.
time.
Yeah, if your distance away from something in light years is farther than the current age of the universe, this always holds true, then the space between you and that object will expand faster than the speed of light.
Right.
That's just how it works.
Which is crazy because then people are like,
Yeah.
nothing is faster than the speed of light, but that expansion rate is and has been proven to be so. So I don't know why
Yeah.
people keep saying that. It's like I just don't get it. I get, but I get
Well, because it
like if
doesn't make any sense, probably. But
right.
science is under no obligation to make sense.
Yeah, I I think that's neat. In terms of another one that I just had to talk about was the Big Bang. Is there, as far as I was aware, there was no actual proof that the Big Bang happened the way that, like a causal time event, if that makes sense. Maybe I was
So
misunderstanding what it
the
was, though.
I I would say that we know the Big Bang happened uh, as much as we know that atoms exist, right? There are things about it which aren't known yet. Like, for example, did cosmic inflation happen, or was it something different that we just don't know? That's unresolved. Uh, but there are unresolved things about atoms as well. But we don't not think that they exist. That's just silly, right? In terms of what caused the universe to begin existing, we have no idea. Science has no idea and really doesn't offer much of a hypothesis. There are ideas about what caused the universe to begin to expand, but not like where the universe actually came from.
Funny enough, I'm like reading the comments and I see someone saying, I literally watched the Big Bang happen. I forgot to bring my camera. You should be able to see the Big Bang with a strong enough telescope because of the way that light
Well,
disperses
it
through
would have to be a
space,
billion
right?
billion dollar satellite telescope, but yes.
But yeah, but so I don't like people in the comments are funny to me. I'm not some.
Yeah, my comment section, they're extremely funny. Sometimes they're so mean, but they're actually
Or they try and
they
be
are
mean, but it's like
geniuses at
you
coming up
don't
with
understand. You
memes
just caught
sometimes.
yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're so good at double entendres and play on words and creating memes. There are lots of them.
Yeah.
Anyways, oh,
Oh
go
yeah.
ahead.
Go ahead. No, you probably have someone else. But thanks for
No,
having me
I
up.
was just gonna say I don't I think we kind of ran out of all of our ideas. I said about as much wisdom as said in about probably all my time on this app because this is actually an interesting conversation rather than the normal morons I talk to. So thanks for that.